Here's what's coming up on today's show.
Social Security, depending on how much income you have, and the numbers are very low, becomes taxable. Up to 85% of your Social Security can be taxable. So there's that as well that you have to consider.
Hello, this is Mark Silverman, managing member and founder of Silverman & Associates, and I'm also a certified financial planner professional. I want to welcome you to the Saving with Silverman podcast. I'm glad you're here. Each week, we'll discuss different financial planning topics because making smarter choices about your money impacts the quality of your life.
And let's go to the mailbag here. We've got lots of good questions here. First one is from Elise in Oro Valley. And Elise says, my company just went through a merger, so my benefits are being changed, including setting up a different 401k plan on a new platform. What does this mean for the dollars in my current 401k?
Well, at least that's a great question. What I wanted to say first is if people listening, if they want to hear their question on the air, what you want to do is, which is what Elise has done, is if you go to our website, which is savingwithsilverman.com, click on the radio tab. There's a place to submit your question. You do so, and then we'll read it here on the air and answer it for you. But to answer your question, this does happen with different plans, and companies get bought, and there's so many different mergers that are out there. But typically what you can do is, which I would recommend, is they usually give you an option. There's a blackout period where you have an option maybe to take your current plan and roll it to a self-directed IRA, which is always going to be your best option because you're not going to be controlled by the plan. It opens up your options, and you can kind of control the fees that way. If you don't do anything, then typically what will happen is it will roll over to the new plan, and you're going to have to make different choices. And so depending on that could be better or worse. I know a lot of Raytheon people who were with Fidelity for years, and then when they merged with United Technologies, that was a bigger plan. It moved to Alight, and a lot of our clients who none of them seemed to be too happy with the merger because Alight didn't have as many options as Fidelity had. But you don't have any options. I mean, once it moves over, that's what it is. You can't pick who the custodian is until you roll it out of there. So you do have some options. Feel free to reach out if you need some help with those decisions and trying to maybe set up some of your new benefits and that sort of thing. Maybe things are better. Sometimes they're worse. You just don't know, but you have to look at the pros and cons and make the best of what you have. But great question.
One thing for sure is that it may be an opportunity to better your situation, and it's worth having a conversation with Mark Silverman about this because he can tell you what the options are and all that kind of thing and get into more details on that. But it's an opportunity to open up some other possibilities. You
might be able to do a rollover and get your vested portion out.
Yeah,
and then start the new plan.
So, Elise, I hope you will call this number, 520-333-7601. Arrange to have a 20-minute conversation with Mark Silverman about all this, 520-333-7601. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. Next question here is from Larry in Green Valley. Larry says, how do I convince my wife that now is the time to start taking out Social Security? She wants to hold off until I'm 70, but I'd get my share now at 63 and save it for a rainy day in my own accounts. Boy, you can become a marriage counselor here.
Well, Larry, that's a tough one. I mean, like I mentioned before, we have software that we can run to show you based on, the big caveat is life expectancy. Is there longevity in your family? I mean, is there a health condition? If there's a health condition and not a lot of longevity, yeah, you probably do want to take it early. But to your wife's credit, I'm not trying to pick sides, you do get 8% guaranteed for each year you defer it up until age 70. And so as I tell clients, yes, can we beat 8% in the market? A lot of times we can, but can we do it guaranteed? No. The only way you're going to get 8% true guaranteed is through the government. No annuity, just like these people on the radio are pitching, gives you an 8%. That's not a real 8%. This is a real 8% compounded number to your Social Security benefit. If you can hold off to age 70, like I said, we have software that we can run and show you what the break-even point. For a lot of people, it may be age 81 to 82, meaning if you live past 81 or 82, you're better off deferring it to 70 because at that point, once you hit that point, you're going to start making more. If you don't have a long longevity, then you want to take it early because you don't have all that time to make it up. So like I said, we have software we can actually spell out the dollars for you so you can see a side-by-side comparison. But good question.
This is kind of reiterating what we talked about earlier in the show, but do you still have conversations with people who are anxious to start it as soon as they can at 62 just because they think it's not going to be there later?
That's the number one reason a lot of people want to take it because they think that it's going to run out of money.
Yeah.
And especially if you're still working and those sorts of things, it gets into complicated where you have to start paying some of your benefits back. If you take it prior to full retirement age, which for most people's, probably people nowadays, it's probably age 67. That's where it caps off.
Yeah.
But it does grow at 8% compounded, guaranteed on that. And, the other thing is too, Social Security, depending on how much income you have, and the numbers are very low, becomes taxable. Up to 85% of your Social Security can be taxable. So there's that as well that you have to consider.
Well, the bottom line is you need to make the right decision because you can't go back and change it,
Correct. And it's a big decision for most, including myself. It's the only pension that we have.
Yeah. Have a conversation with Mark Silverman before you make a move on that. 520-333-7601. One more question today is from Terrence in Catalina Foothills. And hope it's a good day for you, Terrence. Terrence says, I've always wanted to see the country, so my dream in retirement is to buy an RV and travel. He's not talking about going to New Zealand. He's talking about traveling all over this country, I guess. But he says, I'd plan to retire at 65, but am considering a partial retirement next year when I turn 60 and just work remotely as a consultant so I can start traveling sooner. How can I make this dream a reality?
Well, that's a great plan. I mean, as far as making a reality, you need to have somebody do, whether it be us or another certified financial planner in town, build you a plan to make sure that it's going to be possible and take things in consideration, reduced income, how's that going to work? I will tell you this, on the RV side, we have clients that love their RVs, but I've had several clients that have purchased RVs, they tried it, they didn't like it, and then they get stuck selling it, sometimes at a loss.
Yeah.
So my recommendation there would be maybe rent an RV. You can rent them. I've done it before where you can rent an RV, try it. If you like it, then buy something versus making that big commitment and then decide that you're not the RV person. And maybe you prefer driving and getting hotels or flying, getting hotels, whatever it might be. But the other big thing too is going to be healthcare. Retiring prior to 65, you're not going to be eligible for Medicare yet. So if you have that partial job, hopefully you have medical coverage. If you don't, it's going to be very, very expensive if you have to go out and get your own plan. I can tell you that from personal experience, being self-employed. So that's another thing that you need to take in consideration. So I guess my point being is these are all things that you need to think about, and you want to make sure you have a plan before you pull the trigger on something like this.
Yeah, plan it in advance for sure. Don't just head off into the sunset, driving an RV. I mean, I've thought about that myself. I know people who have done that, and boy, that's a heavy responsibility.
Some people like it, love it.
Yeah.
Some people don't. But before you make the financial commitment to spend, 100, 200, 300 grand on an RV or more, make sure that it's for you.
Have a conversation with Mark Silverman before you make a move like that. And Mark, I asked you this question earlier in the show, but what kind of things are you going to talk about in that very first conversation?
We don't really have an agenda. It's really driven by what you, the person who's calling in, wants to talk about. You're going to speak with me. So if there's a pressing question that you have that I can answer, I'm happy to do that. If you want to learn more about me and our services, happy to discuss that. But it really is going to be focused on what's important to you and understanding your situation. Everybody's situation is different, so there's no script per se.
Yeah. Well, if you'd like to have a conversation with Mark Silverman, you can get to know him a little bit. He can get to find out more about you, and you're under no obligation to take it any further. 520-333-7601 is your number to call or text. It's just a conversation. 520-333-7601. Find out if you'd like to work together. That's the good way to do it. The True Wealth Financial Life Planning process can be yours, but you have to reach out and make that conversation happen. Totally complimentary and no obligation at all involved. 520-333-7601. Call or text. You've been listening to the Saving with Silverman podcast. If you have any questions at all about your financial situation, please give Mark Silverman a call. Again, his number is 520-333-7601, or go online to savingwithsilverman.com. For Mark Silverman, I'm Ron Stutz. We'll see you next time on the Saving with Silverman podcast.
The Saving with Silverman podcast is brought to you by Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, based in Tucson, Arizona. The show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and everywhere you listen to shows. Subscribe to the show on your favorite app today and never miss an episode. Just search for Saving with Silverman to find us, or visit savingwithsilverman.com to listen to past episodes, to contact Mark, and to learn more about how to make smarter decisions with your money.
Did you know that Mark Silverman also has a radio show? Tune in to Saving with Silverman Saturdays and Sundays at 3 p.m. on AM 790 KNST.
All matters discussed on this show are for informational purposes only. Opinions expressed are solely those of Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC and staff. All topics covered are believed to be from reliable sources. However, Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC makes no representation as to its accuracy or completeness. This show shall in no way be construed as a solicitation to sell securities or investment advisory services to residents of any state other than Arizona or where otherwise permitted. Topics should be discussed with your individual advisor prior to implementation. Fee-based financial planning and investment advisory services offered through Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Arizona. Insurance products and services are offered through Silverman & Associates, an affiliated company.